Hey everyone. At this point, I assume you already have your Linux OS installed. So I'm just gonna jump straight in. So first things first, if you type in uname-a, it's gonna show you the version of Ubuntu that you have. Right now, I'm actually using Ubuntu 18.04. This is important to keep in mind before you continue watching this video. I'll explain why a little bit later, or you could just jump right into the explanation before you continue. So first, we're going to prepare our OS by running these two commands, the sudo apt-get update and sudo apt-get upgrade. I'm not going to explain what these commands do because you could literally see these two commands in every Linux tutorial out there, so you probably already know what they are. Okay, now we're going to install Apache. Type in sudo apt-get install Apache 2. Now we need to make sure that our firewall allows HTTP and HTTPS traffic. If you type in sudo ufw app list, you can see the available application profiles for the UFW. UFW, if you don't know, is just a program for managing firewall on Linux. Now if you type in sudo ufw app info apache full, you can see the information about this profile. And if you look at the port section, there should be 80 and 443 written on that. That means it enables traffic to port 80 and port 443. So to allow HTTP and HTTPS traffic to this profile, just type sudo ufw allow in apache full. We're pretty much done installing Apache server at this point. We can actually check if it's installed properly by just going to our localhost. And you should see this page right here. Next, we're gonna install MySQL. This is a very straightforward installation, so you should be able to run through this without any problem. First, type in apt-get install MySQL server. After that, we can change our MySQL password by sudo mysql underscore secure underscore installation. It's gonna ask you if you want to set up validate password plugin. Just say yes by typing either lowercase or uppercase y. Next, it's going to ask you the difficulty of the password. You have three choices here. You can pick whichever you want, but for this tutorial though, I'm just gonna choose the lowest one. So type your new password, re-enter your password, then change your password, just say yes, and hit enter. Now in here, if you actually read it, it says that you should remove it in production. Personally, I don't need it even in my dev environment, so I'm just gonna remove it, but you can leave it if you want. Now this one right here, this shouldn't be really an option in my opinion. So I'm just gonna say yes. Again, you can leave it if you want. Now this one, it doesn't really matter. You can remove it now or you can remove it later. Now press Y to reload the privilege tables and hit enter. And now we're done installing MySQL. We can check if our password worked by just logging into MySQL. Type in sudo mysql-u root-p. Type in your password and you should be able to log into MySQL server. Type exit to exit from MySQL. Lastly, we're gonna install PHP. Type in sudo apt-get install php lib apache2-mod-php php-mysql. Now, before you hit enter, in the beginning of the video, remember when I told you to keep in mind what version of Ubuntu that you have? The reason for that is that if we try to install PHP by this command right here, it's actually gonna install the latest PHP version in your Linux's repository. So if you go ahead and check packages.ubuntu.com, then in the search section, you can type PHP, and in distribution, choose any, and hit search. You can actually see the different Ubuntu version and what PHP version they have. Right now, I have 18.04. So if I try to install PHP, then it's gonna install PHP7.2. Same thing if you have 16.04. Then it's going to install PHP 7.0. But that doesn't mean you cannot install PHP 7.2 on Ubuntu 16.04. For simplicity's sake of this tutorial, we're just gonna leave what version of PHP to install in the OS. I just don't want you to get confused if somehow you have a different Ubuntu version and you get a different PHP version if you run the command. Now, this command right here, this is also required. This is an Apache module that lets Apache use PHP to parse any PHP code that you have. If you don't install this module, what's gonna happen is when you try to access a page that is written on PHP, it actually gonna return the raw PHP code of your file to the browser. It's not going to parse the PHP code, so make sure that you don't forget to install this module. This command is a PHP module. What it does is it allows our PHP to access MySQL database server. Now go ahead and press enter and start the installation. Now at this point, we're pretty much done installing our LAMP stack. We just need to verify whether our PHP installation worked, so go ahead and go to cd/var/www/html. By default, this path is going to be the Apache's default document root. Now this file right here, this is what we actually see when we accessed localhost a while ago after we installed Apache. I'm just gonna rename this file. Then I'm gonna create a new file. I'm gonna name it index.php. Then inside, I'm just gonna put PHP info, just to check if our PHP installation works. Control O to save, then Control X to exit.